let's start on our backs today. No specific prop requirements unless you really like a block, really want a strap, something like that. I'm indifferent on the cueing for it. So find your way down onto your back. It's your choice whether your feet are flat on the floor or your legs are extended out. And begin to bring your mind to the connection points, the contact points with your mat, whatever those look like for you. Notice how your breath feels as it flows through your body. Your breath may be moving slower. It may still be shallow and quick. Any of that's okay. Observing. Letting your eyes drift closed if that's something comfortable for you. Consciously softening the muscles around your eyes. Relaxing muscles of your face to release tension out of your jaw. And as you next breathe in, track that breath as it moves through your body. Follow it down as it moves in your nose, down the back of your throat, all the way down to your diaphragm and into your lungs. If you need a little physical cue, maybe you place your hands on your abdomen. Maybe you begin to bring the breath in a little deeper, a little slower. Sometimes it helps to bring in a count so that you know that you're actually slowing the breath down. Bring your awareness to your low back and your hips. Checking in with the state so if you are on your back, whether your knees are extended or they're bent, you might notice that curve of your lumbar spine. Noticing the small bridge that the spine makes when it's resting in its natural curve. Draw your awareness to your tailbone and to the alignment of the front of your pelvis. Stay where you are, or maybe you find a bit of a neutral spine if your legs are long. This can be a little easier, to where the pelvic bone and the hip bones are on the same horizontal plane. You're neither tucked nor tilted. Maybe your hands form a triangle with index fingers and thumbs, and you rest that down to give an extra physical cue at the pelvic level to what's level and what's tilted. If your knees are bent, extend your right leg long. If your legs are long, begin to draw your left knee in towards you. Doesn't have to come much past the hip, just enough that you can begin to feel the difference in the two sides of your body. You can keep your eyes closed if they're closed. You can open them if that's more comfortable. Your hands can come to your knee, or they can stay down on your abdomen. Begin, as you're ready, to draw small circles on the ceiling with your knee. That leg is going to stay bent. You can go slow or a little quicker. Right now, you may notice some rocking in the lower spine and the pelvis. It's okay right now. I'm going to work towards keeping that still, keeping the movement strictly in the femur. Circles can start to get bigger if that feels comfortable for you. You can start to straighten your leg if that feels right. Partially straighten it, keeping a pretty decent bend. If you notice any places of resistance or popping in your hip, maybe you make your circle a little smaller. It's often a sign that you're going outside of your range of motion at that moment. Take one, maybe two more circles in this direction, and then pause in the center and lengthen that leg out onto the mat. When you're ready, pull the right knee in and begin circling outward first. Circle around, in, out. Find the size of circle that keeps that hip from popping or crackling around. Again, you can use your hands to support this movement or let the leg move freely. You may notice you're starting to get a slight engagement of your abs as you do this. Neither here nor there, just observing. Putting that foot down and then lengthening the leg out. Keeping your arms overhead. Maybe you widen the arms if the shoulders are tending to pop. Make yourself just a little bit longer here with a stretch. And then sweep your arms up to reach for the ceiling and actively reach away from you as you lower your arms down alongside your body. Inhale here, and as you exhale, pull both knees in towards your chest. Hands rest on your shins or behind your thighs. Tucking your tailbone under, rock lightly from side to side. Massaging the low back. Waking it up. Noticing your breath. How this feels. And bring your hands to your knees. Fingers point towards your toes. And use your hands to pull your knees in as close as you can. And then separate out your knees. Press them away from each other with your hands until you feel a stretch on the inside of your thighs. Then press your knees away until just your fingertips are touching your legs. And then pull your legs in together. Squeeze them together. Exhale to draw your knees in as close as you can. Pull with your hands. That might lift your tailbone. Exhale to widen your knees out. Press them away. Find that stretch. Then circle them out away just so you can barely touch your knees. Pull your legs together and squeeze them in. Drawing those knees in, on an exhale, rock lightly from side to side. Checking in with the breath. Transferring both hands to the back of your left thigh. Pull that left leg closer to your chest, and as you exhale, lengthen your right leg out. Noticing you may feel this stretch in a variety of places. Front of the right leg, back of the left hip. Lots of options for the left hip in this sensation. Transfer your right hand to the outside of your left leg and start to draw that leg across your body. Keep your hip down as much as possible. You may want to bring your leg to a straighter position. It doesn't have to go all the way straight. But you'll notice if you start to straighten your leg that you will find a stretch in your IT band here if you're keeping that hip mostly grounded. It doesn't have to be fully grounded. Find that stretch on the outside of your leg. Breathing into it. On your next inhale, rebend the left knee and exhale to continue twisting to the right, lifting the right hip up, twisting through the low back. Take a breath or two here. And then bring your hand to the inside of the left leg to help re-square the hips and return the left foot to the mat. Next time you exhale, pull both knees into the chest, nice and close. Inhaling to transfer the hands to the back of the right leg. Draw it closer. And as you exhale, send that left leg long onto the mat. Breathing into the space here. And then transfer the left hand to the outside of your right leg and start to draw the knee across the midline. Keeping the hip down, that sits bone down. This might be enough stretch in the outer leg for you. You can stay here or bring that leg to a straighter position. It doesn't have to be fully straight. And you start to feel the stretch. Rebend into the knee if you chose to straighten it, and start to shift by lifting that right hip, looking towards stacked hips as you twist in the low back. Slowly untwisting the spine, bringing the right hip back to the ground, hands to the inside. Pull that left leg in alongside your right. Maybe you rock lightly from side to side. And then extend your arms up overhead and your legs out long for a full body stretch. Inhale, reach your arms up towards the ceiling, palms face each other. And exhale, open out into goddess arms. Backs of the arms are resting against the ground. Inhale, pull your arms in together, just like we were doing with our legs before, so the insides of the forearms come to touch. Elbows are about at shoulder height, maybe a little lower. And exhale, open those arms out into deity arms. Once again, notice the stretch in the front of the chest. Inhale, pull the arms in. Optional this time to cross them over and wrap around into eagle arms. Keeping the legs long and grounded down. You might want to flex through your feet. You might want to point through your feet. You have eagle arms, unwrapping and exhaling to open back out into goddess or deity arms. Inhale, pulling them in, and optionally eagle arms in the other side. Unwinding, opening out into those goddess arms. Extend the arms long into a T this time. And begin to pull your knees in. Legs can come one at a time or together. Exhale to twist the legs together over to your right. Working towards stacked hips. Keeping the shoulders down. Taking a couple of breaths here. Notice the right side of your body in contact with the ground. And then use an inhale to draw your legs up to the center. And an exhale to let them transfer to the left. Next time you breathe in, draw your legs back up to the center. Sweep your arms down like you're reaching for your toes. And then slide your hands up your legs to your knees. Light rocking here if you like. And then two options. One, cross your ankles and just rock and roll your way up to seated, or shift over onto your side and press yourself up, or a combination thereof works too. Either way, coming into a cross-legged posture. Taking your time to sit up tall. Checking in. And then continue that forward motion however you wish. Come through mermaid legs or roll over your ankles all the way to tabletop. Adjusting yourself on your mat as you spatially need. And moving through a few rounds of cat and cow. Notice how this feels different after the other back-related stretches we've already done today. Finding a nice neutral spine, lower down onto your forearms. And send your right leg long, coming onto the ball of your foot. Lengthening out that side of your body into a half forearm plank. Press through your heel. Drawing up and back with that left hip. And down with the front of the right hip. You can stay right where you are, or begin to lift your left arm up towards stacking your shoulders. Noticing the opening in the torso. If you've opened up, gently draw down, forearms to the mat. Lower that right knee down. Knees are bent. Toes can be tucked or flat. It's up to you. And arch up into a cat. Forearms are still down. Notice if this feels different in the back of your shoulders. Even inhale to scoop with the tailbone into cow, bringing your chest forward. Kind of a combination between cow and sphinx. Coming back to that neutral spine. And then send your left leg long onto the ball of your foot. Noticing the difference in the asymmetry of the pose here. Think about drawing down with the front of that left hip that's extended, up with the back and the sits bone on the right, working towards keeping that level and solid. And then if you like, you can begin to open up on this side. Either side. You can even twist and open. And that makes a completely different challenge. Almost an inverted wild thing. Coming back down. Set the knee down. And creep your fingers forward till you can lift your elbows in a happy puppy. Spreading the fingers wide, pressing the mat away with your hands. Release the elbows to the ground once again. Lower your chest towards the mat so you can stay low as you slide your body forward, releasing the abdomen down into a baby sphinx or baby cobra. It's up to you. Not lifting all the way, just slightly up. Feet can be hips width distance apart or a little narrower and a little wider. On your next inhale, press yourself up a little higher. And then exhale to lower down. Inhale to press up. Exhale, lower down. Inhale, pressing up a little bit higher. Exhale, lift your hips through tabletop back to child's pose. Option to widen your knees. Notice your breath as it moves through the back of your body. Bring your attention to your tailbone, to the muscles across the top of your hips. Notice your connection between your forehead and the ground. Even if they're not actually touching, there's still a connection. Take 1 or 2 more breaths here. And then slowly start to raise up to hands and knees. Tuck your toes under and lift your knees off the ground. Tailbone high, downward facing dog with nice bent knees. Noticing the shift. Maybe you begin to pedal out your knees. Maybe the knees stay nice and bent. Introducing a stretch into your hamstrings. When you're ready, lift your gaze towards between your hands and start to walk your way up to the top of your mat. Use as many steps as you need to get here. Bent knees, forward fold, hands come around behind the legs. On your next inhale, slide your hands up your legs on your half lift as you straighten the legs. Exhale, refold, bend your knees if you'd like, particularly if your hamstrings are tight. Inhale, plant your hands on your mat. As you exhale, step your left foot back into a high lunge. Hands stay down as the chest and gaze lift forward. Next time you breathe in, start to lift your hips up and step that right foot back, downward facing dog. Bent knees are fine, pedaling your feet is fine, whatever organic movements work for you. When you're ready, use your next breath cycle to travel to the top of your mat, coming into a forward fold. Inhale, half lift, lengthen your spine. Exhale, take that with you. Hands come to the ground. Send that right foot back onto the ball of your foot as you bend into the left knee. Inhale, your gaze and your chest lift forward. Breathing here. Planting the hands on an inhale, start to raise that tailbone up. so that you can send the left foot back to down dog as you exhale. Inhale, begin to shift your weight forward towards your hands, coming into plank pose, finding a nice level spot. Knees can come down. Exhale as you lower your body to hover on the mat. And inhale into baby cobra. Exhale, release down. Inhale, lift a little higher into your cobra. Exhale, come through tabletop to down dog. Inhale, shift forward into plank. Exhale, knees come down, then your chest and chin, and then your hips. Inhale, up to cobra, up dog, and exhale to child's pose. Lengthening through the body, imagining the hips being heavy enough to continue to draw towards the heels. Walk your fingers in just a little closer to you, and then press into the floor. See if that draws your hips closer to your heels. It might not. Relax your shoulders away from your ears or walk your fingers a little wider. See how that changes this pose for you. Maybe the hands need to walk in a little bit, fingers spread, and as you inhale, come to hands and knees. Exhale away to downward facing dog. Next time you breathe in, send your right leg up into three-legged dog. Bending the knee if you'd like the extra weight of that bent foot. Taking your gaze forward on an inhale, and the exhale, place your right foot by your right hand. Pivot out on that left foot to 45. Use your next inhale to lift to warrior one. Option for the hands to come up. The hands can stay down. There's no need to add the extra weight if you're not feeling it this morning. Inhale, draw your hands to your heart center. And as you exhale, twist to your right. Optionally, bring your left elbow to your right knee. Keep pressing to the outside edge of your left foot for stability. Inhale up to the center. Exhale, hands come to the mat. Step that right foot back, downward facing dog. Next time you breathe in, send the left heel up into three-legged dog. Option to bend the knee. Next time you inhale, look up towards your hands and use the exhale to place your left foot by your left hand. Pivoting out on the right foot, bending the left knee. Inhale, raise up. Option to reach overhead into warrior one. Hands can stay down on the side. Inhale, hands come to heart center. As you exhale, there's an option to twist to your left, right elbow to left knee. Inhaling as you come upright. Exhale, hands come to the mat, stepping back, downward facing dog. Option for a flow here if you want it. A hold and down dog or happy puppy or child's pose. Wherever you are, join me in downward facing dog and begin to travel to the top of your mat. Stepping your feet at least as wide as your hips, if not a little wider. Bend your knees to tuck your fingers under your toes in gorilla pose. Moving forward, drawing your chest towards your thighs. You feel tension in your neck here, maybe you move it yes and no. Light movements. On the next inhale, untuck those fingers, lifting up to a half lift. Exhale, bring your hands to the mat and walk your feet away from you towards the plank pose, bringing your knees to the mat. Lengthen out the back of the body. Choices here include moving through inchworm or chaturanga, or simply lowering the hips before we join together in upward facing dog or cobra. Inhale, that tailbone lifts to tabletop. Exhale, send your right leg out behind you. You can lift it off the ground or you can keep it down. Rotate out in that right hip and then pull your knee in towards you. Exhale, send it long. Unrotate so you're nice and neutral. Setting the right leg down. Inhale here and exhale, send the left leg out. Rotate out. Inhale, knee pulls in towards you. Exhale, send it long. Re-square. Lower down. Bringing yourself down onto your forearms. Arch up into cat. Nice deep movement here. Notice the stretch in the upper back. Finding neutral once again. Tuck your toes under. You can either come into happy puppy, down dog, or we're set for dolphin. So send your tailbone up, forearms down. They can be in that 11 parallel position or making a triangle. You can begin to walk your feet in closer if that helps you get the weight divided between the shoulders. Staying in a traditional dolphin, or taking your left leg and crossing it behind your right. Press through your right heel. Notice the stretch in your hamstring. If you've taken the crossover option, bring your left foot to the mat. Cross the right behind. Uncrossing, lowering knees to the ground. Press back, child's pose. Option to drape your arms towards your feet. Inhaling as you start to sit back onto your heels just briefly. Hands stay down on the mat. Lift your chest forward. Feel the scoop in your spine as you come into lion pose here. The roar is optional. And then send your feet to one side so your sit bones can come to the ground in mermaid legs. Walk your hands around away from your feet. Traveling through the center with your hands. When you get to the center, switch the legs so they go to mermaid legs the other way. And your hands have the space to keep walking around away from your feet. Returning the hands towards the center. Sweep the feet around in front of you so you come onto your tailbone. Widen the feet out about hip width so there's at least a fist amount of space between your knees. That might be wider in your body, that's okay. Hands come to the back of the thighs for support and hinge back into a half boat that is supported here. We're not asking your back and your core to do it all. Let your arms help hold you a little. Press down through the bottoms of your feet. Keeping yourself grounded. Shoulders are being lengthened away from the ears. Just naturally, that happens when we grab onto the back of the legs. If you stay here, you can play around with lifting one or both feet. Ensuring that if you're lifting a foot, it stays up for the same amount of time on both sides. Bend your elbows to pull yourself upright. Stacking shoulders over hips. Slide your hands around to the insides of your legs so you can creep the bottoms of your feet together into bound angle. Knees are nice and wide, sitting up tall. Gently draw your hands to the outsides of your legs and bring your knees together on your next exhale. Send your left leg long. Walking your right heel as close to you as you can. Sit up tall. Right foot can stay on the inside of your left leg or it can step to the outside. That's up to you. Take your right hand behind you for support. And as you inhale, raise the left arm all the way up. Lengthen through the left side of the body. Actually lean a little to your right. And then exhale, twist around to the right, lowering the right elbow. Finding stability here. Take one more breath. And then use your inhale to reach that left arm up. Untwist your torso. Sweep the right hand down behind you as well. Pull the left leg in. Hands are behind you for support as you lift both feet off the ground. No need to straighten the legs unless you want to. Finding balance here in this tripod position. Setting the feet down. Lengthen out your right leg. Sit up nice and tall as you draw that left heel in close. Creating the space here. Option to step the left foot to the outside of the right leg. Left hand drifts back. Inhale, reach the right arm up. And as you exhale, lean over to the left. Find the stretch in the right side of the body. And then twist that right elbow across. Next time you inhale, reach the right arm up, re-square the torso. Take the right hand back behind you for support with the left. Pull that right leg in and lift the feet off of the mat. Once again, shoulders are tilted back in a straight line over the hips, finding that tripod between hands and tailbone. Try to squeeze your legs together just a little bit. And set your feet down. Spread your knees so the bottoms of the feet can come together. Taking a hold of ankles or feet, you sit up into the bound angle. Taking your hands, come to the outsides of your legs, draw the knees together, and hinge back, holding onto the back of the knees, the legs, the thighs. Gently lower your upper body to your mat, letting your head be the last thing to touch. Taking a moment to settle here, noticing the points of contact. And then walk your heels close to your hips, or scoot your hips closer to your heels. Feet are about hips width distance apart. And begin to lift your tailbone off of your mat. It doesn't have to come high. Only coming part of the way into bridge here. Lowering down. Inhale, lift partway into bridge. Exhale to lower down. Inhale, lift one more time into bridge, going as high as you'd like. Optionally tucking those shoulder blades under, coming onto the balls of your feet. Anything that feels right to you. This feels easy and you want something a little different. Pull your belly button towards your spine. You may notice when that happens, your knees start to separate. Pull them towards each other. And gently begin to lower down. Sweeping your knees from side to side when your tailbone meets your mat. Finding your way to the center. Use an inhale to draw your right knee towards you a little bit, and then exhale to place that knee on the ankle onto the opposite knee. Right ankle to left knee. Flex through that foot. You could stay here, or if you like, you can lift the left up into tabletop. Bringing in a bigger stretch, different sensations. Softening the muscles of your face. Relaxing tension in your jaw. You have that left leg in tabletop. Set the left foot down, bringing the right leg along for the ride. Uncross your legs. Take a breath here. And then begin to draw the left knee in towards your shoulder, setting the left ankle on the right thigh. Again, you're welcome to stay right where you are, or begin to lift the right leg towards tabletop. That right leg is up. Gently begin to set the right foot down. And cross your legs. Maybe you sweep your knees from side to side. And then inhale, drawing your knees towards your shoulders. Exhaling here as you slide your hands down towards your feet, lifting the bottoms of the feet towards the ceiling. Knees come towards your shoulders, finding your happy baby. Feel free to stay where you are if you like. Begin to draw your legs together, straightening the knees so the bottoms of the feet come towards the ceiling. Your legs are straight up. Transfer your hands to your abdomen, or one to your abdomen, one to your chest. Wherever you are, bring your legs to a tabletop position. Open your arms out to a T, or tuck your hands behind the base of your skull. And gently let your knees drift off to your right. Repeating a pose from earlier in class so that you can observe what might feel different. Notice your hips, your low back, even the front of your left shoulder. If you'd like a little more twist, you can start to draw the left knee towards your right shoulder, or lengthen out your left leg for a little more IT band stretch. And your left leg, you return it to its stacked position on top of your right leg. And use an inhale to pull your knees to the center, re-squaring the torso. Take a full round of breath right where you are. And use an exhale to draw your legs to the left. Stacking the hips, right shoulder stays down. Noticing the sensations in your low back, hip, your right shoulder. Optionally drawing that right knee towards your left elbow, or even beginning to straighten the right leg. Inhale, bending that right leg if it's straightened, returning the legs to stacked wherever you are. Breathing one more full round right here. And then use the inhale to bring your legs up to the center. And your exhale to sweep your arms down alongside your body, reaching your fingers away from you. Maybe you rock lightly back and forth, or you take a moment or two for whatever pose you feel like your body is asking. Working your way down to being either flat on your back, lying on your side, or even roll over onto your stomach for your final resting pose. Taking the time to settle yourself in, providing the opportunity for a shift or change if where you started doesn't work after all. Beginning to let your eyes drift closed. And imagining a light traveling through your body from the crown of your head, moving down like a photocopier, all the way to the tips of your toes, bringing your awareness to each place the light touches. Your focus can stay with this light as it moves up and down your body. There's always the option to count your breaths or count backwards from 1,000. Your mind needs something to do. It doesn't need something to do while you lay and rest. You can let go of any mindfulness technique and just be present and still. Ever so slowly, begin to notice the feeling of your body against your mat. Noticing the feeling of your breath. And as you're more aware of the breath, maybe you introduce small movements into the body, wiggling your fingers, your toes. Gradually increasing the size of your movement. Checking in with your breath once again before you begin to transition up to a seat. Connecting down with the sits bone. Lifting up through your torso. You're extending from the crown of your head. Taking one more scan through your body, inviting release into any place where you find tension. Next time you breathe in, reach your arms out, lifting them up overhead till your hands touch. Exhale as you draw your hands down to your heart center. Blinking your eyes open if you had them closed. Taking a moment here to thank yourself for spending the time in practice today. The light in me honors what is good in each of you. Namaste.